you felt it. You say something accurate, calm, clean, logical, and the room shifts. Not because you were wrong, but because you were right. And being right made someone feel small. So they don't debate your point. They attack your tone. They don't address the problem. They label you the problem. Difficult, negative, arrogant, not a team player. And you sit there thinking, how does truth become a crime? Tonight, I'll explain why this happens, and I'll give you a protocol, 5 moves that lets you speak the truth without becoming the target, because being right is not power. Being right with leverage is power. Now let's name the real mechanism. Truth doesn't just inform, truth exposes. It threatens identity. It rearranges status. It forces change. Most people don't hate truth. They hate what truth implies about them. Carl Jung described what happens next. Projection. When someone can't tolerate what they sense in themselves, insecurity, incompetence, hypocrisy, they push it outward. They don't carry their shadow, they assign it. And the person who triggered their self-awareness becomes the container. That's why the most accurate person in the room can become the scapegoat. Not because you're evil, but because you made their inner world uncomfortable. And their nervous system called it danger. So they protect themselves the fastest way they know how. They make you the threat. Here's the trap intelligent people fall into. You assume this is a logic problem, so you bring more logic, more evidence, more explanation, more detail. And that's when you lose. Because when someone feels threatened, they're not debating, they're defending. They're not searching for what's true, they're trying to preserve what feels safe. So if you keep pushing, you don't look smart. You look like you're trying to dominate. In a moment, I'll give you the protocol. But a protocol without geography is courage without direction. Because the same truth that earns respect in one room gets you punished in another. Wise people don't only ask, is it true? They ask, what does this room reward? So before we build your shield, we name the arenas. Stop expecting justice from places that feed on pride. Part 1. The 3 environments where truth gets you attacked. Environment 1. Ego-led rooms. In ego-led rooms, the rule is simple. Image beats reality. The most fragile person is also the most sensitive to being corrected. So when you point out a flaw, even politely, they don't hear problem. They hear, you're not competent. You're not respected. You're being exposed. They can't tolerate that feeling, so they turn it into a story. This person is disrespectful. This person is trying to embarrass me. This person thinks they're better. A sign you're in an ego-led room. People care more about how it looks than whether it works. Environment 2. Political rooms. In political rooms, the rule is rank beats accuracy. It's not about what's true, it's about who gets to be right. If you correct someone above you, publicly or even innocently, you've committed a status violation. So they don't correct the error, they correct you. They punish you to teach the room a lesson. Do not challenge the hierarchy. A sign you're in a political room. Decisions are made for optics, alliances, or ego protection, then explained afterward as strategy. Environment 3. Addicted rooms. In addicted rooms, The rule is, comfort beats consequences. This can be family, friends, relationships, workplaces. Everyone is attached to the same denial. So when you introduce reality, you don't look like a helper, you look like a threat. They call you negative, but what they really mean is, don't take away the lie that helps me function. A sign you're in an addicted room. When you say something real, the response is emotion, not curiosity. Now you understand the danger. It's not your intelligence. It's your accuracy landing on someone's insecurity. Once you can name the room, ego, politics, addiction, you stop taking the backlash personally. You stop asking, what's wrong with me? And you start asking, what system am I inside? Now we build leverage. Not louder truth, not sharper truth, protected truth. 5 moves. No begging to be understood. And pay attention to the 3rd move, because that's the hinge. Move 1. Outcome first. Before you speak, decide, what do I want out of this? Not what's true, not what's fair. What's the outcome? Many intelligent people get punished not for truth, but for truth with no purpose. Pick one outcome. Fix the problem. Protect your reputation. Test the person. Are they safe for truth? Or exit the arena. If you don't choose the outcome, your ego chooses for you. And your ego will try to win. That's expensive. Move 2. Questions before statements. Statements create resistance. Questions create participation. A threatened person can fight a statement, but a good question forces thought, and thought cools emotion. Use a simple ladder. First, clarify. Can you walk me through how we're measuring success here? Second, surface the gap. What happens if that assumption is wrong? Third, anchor in cost. If we continue this approach for a month, what does it cost us? Questions refuse the role they're trying to assign you. Move 3. Calm tempo. This is where most intelligent people lose power, because when you're right, you speed up, you over-explain, you stack evidence, and the room doesn't hear intelligence, they hear pressure. Calm tempo signals status. Speak a little slower than you want to. Use short sentences. End points cleanly. And let silence do the heavy lifting. Say one sentence, then stop. If they get defensive, don't chase them. I'm not attacking you, I'm looking at the outcome. Move 4. Frame it as alignment. Don't frame truth as correction. Frame it as protection. So we don't waste time, so we don't repeat the same issue, so we can protect the result, so we avoid surprises later. Move 5. Exit the pattern. Some environments don't deserve your truth. Not because you're too smart, because they're invested in denial. The sharpest intelligence is not analysis, it's selection. Where you speak, who you build with, what you tolerate. In public, preserve face. In private, preserve reality. You stop explaining. You reduce access. You observe more. Now notice what changed. You didn't become softer. You didn't become colder. You became harder to manipulate. You stopped trying to win their agreement and started building a life that doesn't require it. Here's the dark truth. Some people don't want to be correct. They want to be safe. And if your truth threatens their safety, their identity, their status, their comfort, they will punish you to restore balance. The shadow doesn't disappear, it looks for a host. So don't volunteer. Your power isn't your IQ. Your power is your discipline. Because the goal is not to win arguments, it's to win your life. And the moment you stop needing people to admit you were right, that's when you become untouchable.